All right, ready for another deep dive. Today, we're cracking open the world of embedded systems. You know, the stuff that makes our smartwatches smart, our cars drive themselves, even our coffee makers.
Yeah, it's kind of everywhere once you start noticing, isn't it?
Totally. It's like this whole hidden world of tech. But how do you actually design that stuff? That's where an embedded systems designer comes in, right?
Exactly.
So we're diving into RoleCatcher's career guide. Embedded system designer should give us the inside scoop.
It's a good one. Really breaks down the whole career path.
Perfect. So let's decode this thing. What does an embedded systems designer actually do all day?
Basically, they're like translators
Hmm.
between an idea and a physical device.
Okay, so like,
Like, say you want to make the thermostat that adjusts itself. They figure out how to make that happen using software and hardware.
so it's not just sitting at a computer then. I always pictured like someone glued to a laptop, you know?
Nope. Not even close. It's way more hands-on than that.
But the guide mentions stuff from cars to medical devices. That's not exactly, well, small scale.
Exactly. It's about bringing everyday objects to life. Anything with a chip in it, making decisions on its own. An embedded system designer was probably involved somewhere along the line.
Whoa. Okay, that's way cooler than I thought. But with so many industries, how do you even choose where to start?
That's where the whole transferable skills thing comes in. Problem solving, obviously.
Right, makes sense.
But also communication and even some creativity.
Hold on, creativity for something this technical.
Oh, yeah, big time. Think about it. You're designing within the limits of a tiny device.
Hmm.
Limited memory, battery life. It's got to be fast, too.
Ah.
Finding elegant solutions within those constraints. That takes creativity.
So it's like being a digital architect almost, building these complex systems in such small packages.
That's a great way to put it.
But let's get real. What skills do you need to actually break into this field?
Well, according to the guide, strong programming skills are non-negotiable.
No surprise there, I guess.
We're talking C, C++, or even assembly. You got to speak the language of machines.
Time to dust off those textbooks.
Yeah,
But it's not AL coding, right?
definitely not. You're working with whole systems, so understanding microprocessors, microcontrollers, real-time operating systems, that's crucial.
Okay, starting to sound a bit more complex.
And don't forget about cybersecurity.
Wait, seriously? Cybersecurity for like a coffee maker?
You laugh. But in this interconnected world, anything with a chip is a potential target. The guide really stresses how important it is to design security into these systems from the ground up.
Okay, so maybe my toaster Aya is spying on me. But seriously, this is fascinating. So someone's ready to dive into this field. What's the path look like?
The guide breaks it down into 4 stages: entry-level, junior, mid-level, and senior. Starting out, a strong foundation in computer science or electrical engineering is key.
Right, so like,
Electronics engineering, maybe mechatronics. Some people even come from a robotics background.
wow. So my childhood dream of building robots could actually lead to a career in embedded systems. That's pretty cool. But a degree alone doesn't guarantee a job, right?
Absolutely not.
Mm.
Practical experience is golden. Internships, co-op programs, even personal projects.
Yeah.
Anything to show you can actually use your knowledge.
So it's not enough to just talk the talk. You got to walk the walk, right?
Exactly. The guide even mentions hackathons and open source projects as good ways to stand out.
Love that. So as you move up, do those soft skills we talked about become more important too?
Oh, 100%. Leadership, mentorship, clear communication, all those become crucial for those senior roles.
So you're not just designing anymore, you're leading a team, mentoring junior designers.
Yep. And the guide actually gives examples of what those different career stages look like in practice. It's pretty cool.
Okay, this is seriously making me rethink my career choices. It sounds challenging, rewarding,
Yeah.
but let's talk actually landing the job. Interviews can be brutal.
Totally. And that's where preparation is key. Lucky for us, RoleCatcher's platform has a whole section dedicated to interview prep.
Wait, really? What kind of stuff?
They have a massive database of potential interview questions.
Okay, that's helpful, but how do you know what they'll actually ask?
Well, get this, they use AI to analyze job descriptions, even your resume, to tailor questions to you. Pretty smart, right?
Wow, that's next level.
Mhm.
So if you're serious about this field, RoleCatcher's got you covered. But even after you get the job, the guide mentions continuous learning. What's that about? Like going back to school?
Well, this field moves us so fast, you kind of have to keep learning to stay ahead. Advanced courses, workshops, conferences, even a master's or doctorate, depending on your goals.
So you never really stop learning, do you? It's a constant evolution.
Exactly. And you're not alone. The guide talks a lot about the importance of networking, too. Going to industry events, joining professional organizations, even just connecting with people online.
Right, that community aspect is huge. Speaking of which, the guide mentions communication protocols. Sounds kind of intense. What are those all about?
So think about a bunch of sensors in a factory, right? They need to talk to each other, send data back to the control center. Communication protocols are like the languages they use to do that.
Ah, okay. So just like we use language to communicate, those protocols provide the structure for devices to exchange information.
Exactly. There are tons of different ones out there. CAN, SPI, I2C. Understanding them is key for building those really complex systems.
Sounds like choosing the right protocol could make or break a project?
It definitely can. Affects data transfer speed, complexity, even cost. It's a big decision.
This is all starting to feel very real. But one big question always comes up: job security, AI, automation. Is there even a future for human designers in a world where machines might be designing themselves?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And you know what? The career guide actually addresses that head on.
Oh, really? Okay, so let's dive into that rabbit hole. What does it say about the future of embedded systems design in the age of AI?
Well, it definitely doesn't shy away from the AI thing, that's for sure.
Because that's a big question, isn't it? Are we all going to be out of a job soon?
Well, the guide's take is it's not that simple.
Okay, good. I was getting a little worried there.
It says AI will definitely change things, like it can automate certain tasks like generating code or optimizing for certain parameters.
So some of the more tedious stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not about replacing human designers completely. It's more about, like, augmenting what they can do.
So think of AI as another tool in the toolbox, not the whole workshop.
Exactly. Imagine AI taking care of those repetitive tasks, the stuff that takes forever. And that frees you up to focus on the bigger picture.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Right. System architecture, creative problem solving, making sure it actually works in the real world. That's where humans still come in.
Makes sense. You can't really automate good design, can you?
Exactly. And that human element, that's what sets apart a good design from a technically perfect, but maybe not so user-friendly one.
Totally. But thinking about all these systems working behind the scenes, it makes you wonder about the decision making, especially with stuff that interacts with the real world.
Absolutely. And that's where something called formal verification comes into play.
Formal verification. Okay, that sounds kind of intense. Break that down for me.
So imagine you're designing, say, a medical device, something that has to deliver a very specific dosage of medication, right?
And high stakes.
Very. Formal verification is like putting your design through a super rigorous mathematical test. You're using models and tools to prove that the system, the software, it'll behave exactly as intended.
No room for error, basically.
Exactly. It's about making sure those systems are rock solid, especially when even a tiny bug could have huge consequences.
Yeah, no pressure. So, is this something every embedded systems designer needs to be an expert in?
It's becoming more and more important, that's for sure. Maybe not everyone needs to be a verification guru, but even understanding the basics is super valuable.
Another tool for the toolbox, right?
Right. It's about knowing what's out there and how to use those tools to make sure your designs are as reliable as possible.
Got it. Speaking of tools, we've talked a lot about RoleCatcher's platform. It sounds like they've really gone all out with their resources.
Oh, for sure. It's way more than just job listings. They really want to help people succeed in this field, from getting the interview to actually building a career.
We were talking earlier about interview prep. What do they have for that?
Oh, they have this really cool AI-powered tool that lets you practice answering common interview questions.
Oh, wow. Like a mock interview.
Yeah, kind of. You can even get feedback on your answers, which is super helpful.
That's amazing. It's like having a secret weapon going into those interviews. So yeah, if you're serious about this field, RoleCatcher seems like the way to go.
For sure. And remember, getting the job is just the first step. It's what you do after that counts.
It's true. You're always learning in this field. Heck, I feel like I've learned a ton just from this deep dive.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
Right. It's incredible how much goes into these devices we use every day without even thinking about it. Microcontrollers, AI, making sure those systems are super reliable. It's a lot.
It really is. It's like this hidden world, quietly driving so much of modern life. And as an embedded systems designer, you're right there in the middle of it all, constantly learning, pushing boundaries. It's a pretty awesome place to be.
Yeah, no kidding. You've definitely convinced me this is a field with a lot of potential. But before we wrap up, one last question. Kind of big one.
Hit me with it.
Well, the source material, it talks about AI being used more and more in recruitment now, right? And it got me thinking, could AI actually design embedded systems on its own someday? Or will we always need that human touch, to bridge the gap between technology and what people actually need in the real world?
Wow, that's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Makes you think about what creativity really is.
Hmm.
Can an AI ever really grasp all those nuances, come up with truly innovative solutions? I don't know.
Right. It's a question bigger than just embedded systems, really. I think it's something people will be debating for a long time. But it just goes to show how much potential this field has. It's not just lines of code, it's shaping the future.
I totally agree. And whether AI becomes a partner in that process, or just another tool, one thing's for sure.
Here.
We're going to need skilled embedded systems designers for a long time to come.
Absolutely. This has been a fascinating deep dive. We've covered the skills, the challenges, and the huge impact this field has. So for anyone out there listening, thinking about taking the plunge, what are you waiting for?
Get out there, learn, experiment, build something awesome. Who knows what the future holds, right?
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Right.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.